Let us not get tired of doing good, for we will reap at the proper time if we don't give up. And Ecclesiastes 3:11 says he has made everything appropriate or beautiful in its time. About the seed of the gospel, the seed of the kingdom in the heart of the believer, it says still other seed fell in good ground and produced fruit, some 100, some 60, and some 30 times what was sown. If you plant a fruit tree today, it would be silly of us to expect it to produce fruit tomorrow. It would also be foolish to believe that that tree would start producing any meaningful yield of fruit less than 5 years out, depending on what type of tree, of course. And even Jesus says, you are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me and I in you, just as a branch is unable to produce fruit by itself unless it remains on the vine, neither can you unless you remain in me.
This is another terrific example of what I like to call Jesus taught Torah. In Leviticus, there's a really interesting law about fruit trees. When you come into the land and have planted all kinds of trees for food, you shall reckon their fruit as uncircumcised. For 3 years it is uncircumcised to you, and it is not eaten. And in the 4th year, all of its fruit is set apart. Praises to Jehovah. And in the 5th year, you eat its fruit, so that it increases its yield to you. I am Jehovah, your Elohim. Do you remember that story in the New Testament where Yeshua healed a blind man and he overhealed him? Well, I like to think he overhealed him. And all of a sudden, the man was seeing everybody look like trees. I think he was seeing them in the spirit. So you know a tree by its fruit, but it takes a little bit of time for that fruit to grow. So as a new believer, it's good to take 4 years to just learn, absorb, and offer your fruits up to Jehovah. So the first 3 years, you would just learn, glean off of other people, learn from other people, and grow in your knowledge of Yeshua, of Jesus and Father and all of his beautiful words. And then in the 4th year, you would offer up all your praises and your fruits directly to Elohim. And then in the 5th year, it's time to share what you've learned and share how you've grown. And this is God's holy way of doing it. Makes sense, doesn't it? All the commands in the Old Testament are both literal and spiritual. Jesus came to show us the deeper spiritual understanding of these things.
8 years ago, I planted the lemon tree in my yard, and we were reading the Old Testament, and what it says is the first 3 years, you're not to harvest the crop. But the 4th year, you harvest the crop, and then you give the first fruits to God. Now, the 4th year, that lemon tree had 12 lemons. So I took the best lemon, and I washed it, and I took my pen, and I wrote first fruits on that lemon, and I took it to church on Sunday, and I dropped it in the offering. Okay, now 4 years later, our other tree still produces regular-sized lemons, but the tree we tithed on now produces only this size lemons. It doesn't produce any medium-sized or small lemons. It only produces these. God's word is true. Man, he says that he'll give you the desire to obey him and the power to do what pleases him. And man, this is just a result of obedience. Man, try and see.